Compound Coalition. I'm here with Porterhouse and Teal, Porterhouse and Teal. And we met a year ago. Well, no, less than a year ago, huh? I met you the first time when we went and had dinner.
Yeah.
And you have quite the YouTube channel and farm and stuff going on. I like to sit down and talk with guys and people about things other than what they normally talked about, right?
Yeah.
You're known for permaculture, sustainable agriculture, producing food, self-sufficiency, and we can totally talk about that. Tell me something that your normal viewership might not know about you.
Probably that I'm an ultra runner.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to run ultra marathons, and that's something that I got into probably about 2010, and it was kind of spawned because I used to be in shape, right? I used to always keep myself in shape. As a firefighter, I kind of wanted to make sure that I was in good physical condition. However, I wound up promoting at that point in time, and I wound up getting behind the desk. And I had about 50 employees at the time, and it was a totally new thing. I went from being one of the fellas to being, now I'm one of the guys they look at like it's the chief, right? And so it got a little stressful. I wound up doing a lot more drinking, a lot less physical activity, and I wound up going up in pant sizes. So, when I started to look at myself in the mirror and realize I'm buying bigger fucking pants, that was like the moment where I was like, yeah, something's got to change. So I was a member of a gym at the time, and I decided, they've got this thing called a pump and run. And it was basically you would run like a 5K, and then you would like have to do as much bench press, how many ever reps you could do of your bench press, and it was a percentage of your weight based on your age. And so that's something I trained for. So I wanted to do this pump and run and actually do well at it. But when I started to like get on the treadmill, I realized, man, I'm fucking out of shape. I'm like broke off, sweating and shit in 2 miles, and just snapped off. And I just started from there, and then basically it progressed because I got a type A like personality where I go all in. I don't do anything like half-ass. So I just went all in with like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this. I ran my first 5K, wound up running my first half marathon, and then I jumped right up to a 50 kilometer, which is an ultra marathon, which is 31 miles. And then from there I started running bigger races and just going with it, and went pretty hard for about, I guess, 10 years. Of just running races and training and stuff. I'd run like 3,000 miles in a year, every year. And plus, on top of that, I'd ride another 4,500, 5,000 miles on my bike. So I was just fanatic, And that's probably something that people don't necessarily know about me. But that's another part of what I do, man. I like to run. So I'm actually going to be, probably before I get my drink on tonight, I'm going to go ahead and put my running shoes on and get a couple miles and get my sweat going.
Right on.
Yeah.
Have you done Ironman?
No, I'm not a swimmer. So if I could swim like my wife swims like a fish. She used to swim team and all that. But no, I am not a swimmer, and I don't even pretend like I want to be.
Is there a race called Badlands?
Badwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually paced a lady at Badwater a few years back, but it's 135 miles. It goes from Death Valley to the portal at Whitney Portal. So it goes from the lowest point in the continental United States to the portal, which is, not at the highest level. You're not summiting Mount Whitney, but you're at the portal of Mount Whitney, which is the highest point in the lower 48. So, at the time they used to call it like the toughest ultra marathon, but I mean, there's some fucking insane ones out there now, You
ever run into Goggins?
It's funny that you say that, because a lot of people used to mistake me for Goggins.
I can see it, man.
Right.
I'm sure they did.
And I would get this all the time before I had the beard. When I just shaved and I kept my face clean, I would have people tripping on me at races, right? And the first time that ever happened, I didn't even know who Goggins was, right? I had no idea who this dude was. It was actually at Badwater.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, this chick came up to me, and she's like,
"You're a lot nicer than I thought you were going to be."
Yeah, she's fucking shaking. She's just so like starstruck, right? She's just like, oh my God, you know, and she's like visibly, I'm looking at her like, are you okay? You know? And she's so like thinking I'm Goggins. And she's like, you've influenced me so much, and I've just been so inspired by you. And I'm just like kind of looking around. I'm like, I'm not who you think I am, you know? And she's like, what? Who are you? And my name's Eric. I don't even know who you're fucking talking about, right? I hadn't even heard of Goggins, right? And it was just kind of interesting because from that point forward, I really started to have a lot of people coming up to me and just like giving me the look. You know, and I could tell when they thought I was Goggins because they're like pointing and shit, like, "Oh, that's Goggins over there," and I'm just going, "No."
You should start a spoof Instagram, like David Googles or Goggles or something, and just take his video every morning and kind of remake it as your own real fast.
Yeah. So it's classic, but that's my Goggins story, I guess.
Okay, so what are you best known in for? What does everybody here best know you for at this event?
I would say probably the channel, really, because which is my channel is actually
Can you kill this, please?
fucking bugs cruising around. Yeah, I'm like chicken composting guy, homesteading channel. I got biochar, so those are the couple of things that people are really responded to on the channel. Is I create biochar on my property, but I also, do composting, and composting is kind of a thing that people like to learn how to do. And I do so with chickens, and chickens are also kind of a popular thing or whatever. So, I just talk about what we do on our farm, and people have responded well to that. And, I'd say that's probably what people know me for.
So are you doing like the chicken tractor on steroids kind of deal?
Mm-mm.
Something different?
Yeah, no, it's a system that I sort of took inspiration from a guy named Sean Dombrowski, who's got a channel called Edible Acres.
Okay, I know Edible Acres.
Yeah. So he's I basically kind of took what he was doing and thought, oh man, that's dope. I gotta get in on this, And so I created something that was less than what he's doing as far as the number of chickens, but it's essentially kind of the same template, and then I've just kind of modified it to what suits me and the things that I've found works best in it. And we create probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 yards annually of finished compost, and it's just bringing in waste streams from outside entities plus what we produce on the property, and just decided to share some of that with people, and they responded pretty well to it.
What's the useful application of biochar? Like, how would I use biochar, for instance?
Yeah, it can be used as a soil amendment. It has quite a number of different benefits, but I use it as a soil amendment primarily. One of the stated claims of it is that it helps with water retention. So as it's crushed down, it will, go to be used as an amendment to help facilitate the holding of water within your soil. And then also it's very, very porous, so it's going to absorb everything. It actually will remove toxins from in the soil because it's like a sponge. It'll suck them in and then lock them up and hold them there because it's negatively charged as far as from an ionic, it's a composition there. And the thing that I really, and I don't know this for sure, I'm not like a scientist, I don't deal with it at that level, but just all the research that I've done, it is said to basically be a place for microbes to live.
I heard it was condominium for microbes.
Yep, it's microbial habitat. So, that's one of the things in developing soil you're trying to do is to encourage the development of that form of soil life, which is bacteria and fungal life. And then if you provide an environment for them to flourish, plus that environment has been infused and inoculated with, certain, minerals and bacteria and things like that, they're just going to be flourishing in that environment. So
a man here made some biochar while he was here. Left it here.
Okay.
I have not seen how much biochar there is. Would I just can I top dress my raised beds? Do I need to mix it in?
Yeah, it needs to be crushed. And then what I wouldn't necessarily do that for your places you're specifically trying to grow it because what I said before, it's a sponge. So it's going to actually take away
Okay.
To some extent, the nutrients within the soil is going to absorb that in. But once it's positively charged, I mean, you can take and piss on it. Urine is a great inoculant. There's things that you can add to it. Azomite, which is basically rock dust and stuff like that. You can add, what I do and how I inoculate it is basically just putting it in the compost itself.
Okay.
Because the compost is super nutrient dense or nutrient rich, and then it stays in there for a really long period of time. I don't turn my compost like I'm going to bring it out in 20 days or 30 days. My compost generally stays in there for 6 months or longer.
So my compost is mostly rabbit manure. I use cement trays, and I've got, it starts 3 feet tall, and then it breaks down to 18 inches, and I just keep piling it. And sometimes leaves go in there, sometimes water hyacinth ends up in there. But he had said that he likes to use pond water as opposed to hose water when he's making the biochar. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And I know a little. I've listened to Spearco and some guys and stuff, but I've never actually made biochar. But I think a lot of people kind of burn wood, and they're not really making biochar a lot of times.
Well, biochar is just I think there's a misconception. There's a lot of, at least from the research that I've done, there's people that get very nerdy about shit. Like, oh, that's not biochar. You need to do this, this, and this. Well, it's the same guy that you click on their channel, like you say, and they ain't done shit. Right. They're the guys that's telling you how to make something, but they haven't actually gone out and done it. But if you do the research, at least from what I've learned, it's biochar can be made out of anything that's biomass, that's organic, and that's all biomass is it could be wood, it could be fucking almond shells, it could be, any kind of thing that's carbonaceous in material can be considered biomass and then ultimately cooked down. I mean, we could be made biochar out of fucking fire's hot enough. Throw your ass in a fire and pretty soon you're biochar.
So what William Permapastors had said, that Lawton eventually got tired of them asking, can this be compost? And he's like, anything that came from the earth can be returned to the earth.
100%.
Probably shouldn't start your biochar with gasoline or diesel, though.
No, refined petroleum would probably be bad.
Got it.
But yeah.
So what's your main crops that you're producing? What and why are you producing them to eat? Or are you producing them so that you have better quality? What are you chasing?
Yeah, I'm wanting, because the more that we can produce our own food. So we're trying to lessen our dependency on what we have to get from the store. So, at this point it's just me and my wife on our property. So we're looking at trying to lessen that and grow as much food as we can for our own needs. And then I'm also kind of looking at expanding in some way, having the ability to add to what our animals' needs are. I mean, ideally, if I had, a few acres that were prepared properly, I could, maybe grow a bunch of corn and grow a bunch of, sunflower and do that sort of thing. So I could at least be sustainable from that standpoint, from worrying about the supply chain issues. That's something I talked about earlier. It's a real concern. When that's held over our heads, as far as, making sure that your animals have something to eat.
Right.
So I always try to buy my food in bulk. I always try to, stock up as much as I can. But still, if you're even buying it from someone else, you're reliant upon that supply chain and all of those sort of things. But, yeah.
I've spent probably the last 3 months not feeding any layer pellet. And I've used, I just started with whole corn, because I can get them in super sacks, right? So I thought, okay. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to get a grinder. And then I thought, well, they have a gizzard, right? Do I really need a grinder? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they have more available if it's ground up. But I was feeding whole kernel corn, sunflower seeds. And I kind of weaned off different runs, but I have some runs that are running on nothing but sunflower and corn. We're getting more eggs. I don't know that it's good for the bird. I don't know. Maybe they can absorb the corn. Maybe it's passing straight through like that lady said. But then I look at, okay, a 50-pound bag of sunflower seeds. I go through that pretty fast. How many acres of sunflower seeds do I have to grow, right? So it's kind of back to the tree hay thing. They'll eat all, well, I don't know about chickens, but the rabbits, for instance, would eat tons of that. So I don't know, man. I fight with that. Like, what is a field of corn? How much corn is a field of feed for 100 chickens,
Right. And then there's the processing of it too, getting the fucking ears of corn and stripping them and doing all that. It's just labor intensive. And,
That's why the Amish had so many children.
It's true enough. Yeah. I actually just released a video, I think this morning, of kind of a suggestion for people on how they can save on their feed costs. And it's basically, I buy all my feed in bulk from a mill, and I do so, and I shop for deals in that as well. So not only am I getting the feed cheaper at the mill, but I'll call down there and ask them, hey, do you got any deals? Because a lot of times you can just get deals by asking the question.
Yep.
Right. And so he was able to cut me a deal where somebody didn't take the order that he had processed, and he gave it to me at a discounted price. So I wound up getting 700 pounds of layer feed, 16.5%, all organic. And
nice.
Organic is super expensive, yeah. Right? And it's in mash form for it's $300. It worked out to be like $12 a 50-pound sack.
So you're getting 50-pound sacks?
No, it came in a 2,500 pound tote.
Okay, super sacks.
Yeah, and I have to fucking buy.
See, the appeal to the super sacks is I can pull up with a flatbed. They can put 2 on with forks, and I can come here and take 2 off with forks. Mm-hmm. How long will that store for you? Like, how many birds is that feeding?
Oh, that'll feed a year and a half's worth of birds.
So,
yeah. And as far as it storing, I've been feeding my chickens pig feed right now. I had like 400 pounds left of pig feed, and it had bugs and shit in it, right? But chickens love bugs.
So
right. It gets a little buggy for a minute, but in the winter those bugs die off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just protein, dude. I mean, like, it's all feed. It's just all it was corn, soy, and barley.
Yeah.
Was the mix, and it was a 16% with vitamins put in it. They mix those vitamins and shit in it. I bought a ton of it last year. I fed out a heifer. We processed her at 1,100 pounds, and then I fed out 2 hogs on that. And what I had left over was 400 pounds. And I store it in these olive barrels.
Okay.
So I've got olive barrels that are 60-gallon olive barrels, and I've got a ton of those. I got them for free from a friend.
Super durable.
Yeah, and it keeps all the rodents out, keeps the moisture out. It's just the way to go. And so, like I say, I put that information out this morning on YouTube. Hopefully people find some value in that, because, like I say, feed costs are tremendously problematic. It's one of those things that we see the problem, we see the this is the problem, what's the solution? Well, that's kind of part of my solution, is to find cheaper deals even where cheaper deals exist automatically.
That's a good point, man. And a lot of people's concern is the mouse droppings, right? Your chicken's favorite thing to eat are mice, and the second favorite is dog food, and they will eat anything. And if you stop feeding them, they will still eat stuff, and they eat a lot of poop.
Yeah.
It doesn't. My dogs always have fresh water. They always drink the dirtiest, nastiest water out there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a trip, man. I mean, I've had livestock for my entire life, and chickens are one of those livestocks that. How I approach it, because there's so many different opinions on it. You can look at all these blogs, right? Oh, you can't feed your chickens this, and this. But I feed my chickens all of those things.
All the time.
Yeah, and they're fine.
And they're going to eat it left to their own devices. They're going to eat roadkill.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to eat whatever they want. The secret to that is just make sure that's not exclusively what you're feeding them.
Yep.
You feed them enough choice, they can pick and choose what's going to make them sick. They're going to be like, oh, fuck that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
But I feed them nightshades, all the potatoes and all that greens and all the shit they say not to feed them, orange peels and citrus and, all of that. They get everything. Pork, they get all of it. The only thing I don't feed them, and this is just out of respect to the chicken, is I try not to feed them chicken.
Oh, no, my chickens eat lots of chicken.
Yeah. Oh, they'll love it. The Costco chicken, they love that shit.
If you have a weak bird and you are an hour late coming out in the morning, they're going to eat half the ass end out of that thing. They will for sure.
Yeah, no, they're carnivores, man.
Yeah, we are lucky that those little T-Rexes aren't as big as us.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you what pays you? Like, how do you make money, and how do you do the life that you want to do?
I'm retired. I'm on a pension.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a pension, and it's one of those deals, man. That's like, actually, it's unsustainable. The pension system.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I just happen to be at a point in my life where I hope that it just doesn't come crashing down. But when the system comes crashing down, all of that stuff will get restructured, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got a good pension. I basically made more in retirement than I did when I was working, because I didn't have to pay into retirement.
So if the pension went away, could you sustain the life that you're living right now?
Yep.
What would you do to have income? What would you do?
Well, I would take our resources that we have, currently, and then those would be not a direct income, but it would be the nest egg that we have to sustain ourselves for a while. And then it would be finding out a way to become nimble from there. But one of the best things you can do, and this is kind of where we are in our life, is just being debt free.
Yes.
You know, so the money that I have is money that I get to spend on things that I want to spend on, not that I necessarily need to spend money on. So when you don't have a mortgage, when you don't have all these things that you have to pay on, you still have to pay on, the things we have to pay on, property tax and all the bullshit things that we expend our money on. But the big ticket items, the new car, the new this, the new that, all that stuff that's financed, that doesn't exist. And so that just gives you an unlimited amount of flexibility and freedom. That's one of my concerns, as I think it should be for most, just the monetary system and the fragility of all of the things that we've seen coming. They're not looking at trying to solve the problem. They're just kicking the can down the road. And at some point, where does that land us?
Yeah.
And when does the fucking, ball drop? I don't know.
That can gets driven over and flattened occasionally.
Right.
Do you consider yourself a content creator?
Yeah, at this point. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a commitment. In order to put something out on a consistent basis, yeah, you're a content creator.
Why do you do it?
Why do I do it? I do it because I think there's a lot of value in sharing information.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest point. I don't know if you're aware, but like right now I'm kind of having this little thing with YouTube with regard to monetization. And they had come up and said that my content was harmful.
Yeah, they get that a lot.
Yeah, they had said my content is harmful because I applied to the AdSense program. I wanted to start reaping some of the benefits of the ad revenue that they've been reaping the benefit of. And I met the last threshold about a month ago. I reached 4,000 hours of watch time. I had more than enough subscribers, and I had all the other boxes checked. And I checked the box and said apply. A couple of days later, I get an email that says that your channel has been denied monetization based upon harmful content. And I click on that, figuring it would show me what the content was.
Of course not.
Yeah, and it's basically, it just says your channel focuses on controversial issues, review all these policies, these fucking long list of policies that are very vague and ambiguous.
Yeah.
And they said reapply in 30 days. So last Thursday, I thought, okay, cool, it's the 23rd, I'll reapply. Click the button for reply, and then just last night, I checked it, and it's the same bullshit. And so I've been kind of going around and asking people, today, just to kind of get a sense as to, maybe am I missing something, or is there something that, is amiss here? That what's wrong with my channel? I think it's a homesteading channel. I think it's helping people become a little bit more,
right,
at least thoughtful to progressing toward freedom, doing more for themselves. And I don't know if that's a problem for YouTube as far as content, but yeah.
Do you have any input on that?
I know starting a new channel, trying to get monetized, and if you're saying anything that they don't, obviously,
I probably couldn't start a new channel and say what I say.
If John started right now, he wouldn't be able to get monetized. It's the fact that he was already pre-monetized before a lot of the new rules changed. And can't talk about vaccine stuff. Can't talk about, growing your own food almost at this point, unless you had already been monetized.
Are you auto-populating to Rumble?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Auto-populating to Rumble as well as Odyssey. So it goes to both of those two platforms. So at least if all of a sudden my channel vaporizes, there'll be something somewhere of all the work that I've created over the last few years.
How do you feel about Patreon?
I think it's an option. I haven't looked into it enough to know, but I think that there probably would be people willing to maybe pay $1 a month or whatever.
I feel like you add enough value and people appreciate your work enough that they would just subscribe. And I would put it at 5. I mean, maybe you have a 1 and that's just kind of a thank you. And at 5, they get a special video. And at 10, they get a conference, or they get a live video that only those members get. And maybe a $20 level adds something to it. But I think that you would make revenue off of that. And you would probably make more revenue. Like, for instance, I've had YouTube channel. I think we've had this channel 14 years that we're working on. And we didn't really push it. We didn't know nothing about making money on YouTube. We're just kissing right now $20,000. And I got 4,000 videos up there. 20,000 is the max amount. That's like, I haven't pulled money out of it. It's there. It's in that slush bank account.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll bet you'd make 20 grand. I bet we could do 50 grand in a month.
You'll make that same amount on memberships now in the next year.
Yeah. Could he do memberships not being monetized?
No, I don't think you can. Yeah.
You can't have a member channel.
No member, not store, or none of that stuff, So I don't know. It's interesting, man. I just find it really interesting, that whole thing. But yeah, I would say that I consider myself a content creator in the sense that I'm actually physically trying to do something that people want to see.
Yeah, no, I do. I was just curious are you using any Amazon revenue or anything?
I did. I signed up for their their affiliate program, and I've put links to different things that have shown up on my videos and such. And I haven't gotten a lot of clicks on that. I think I've sold a couple of things or whatever.
Are you doing lives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
No, what are you gonna say?
No, that might be part of one of the problems. I did a live with Bobby Spags, and it got taken down because of misinformation. And we were speaking about something that they did not want you to speak about. It was election results. And that was quickly identified to be something off topic. And they just removed the video, which I was completely fine with, because I actually said that in the video that I was having the interview with. I had no problem with following the rules, man. It's your house.
Yeah.
You set the rules, and I'm cool with that. I'm not bitching about that. I just find it interesting that they, for some reason, have a hard time identifying what the problem is.
And there's no rhyme or reason to it, because I say stuff that I know I'm like, oh, we're definitely getting in trouble for this one with them. But they never hit us for that. They hit us for some minuscule thing that you're like, surely that one was okay. But like the Amazon thing, we have an Amazon affiliate link. Everybody does it. I'm just honest and upfront and tell you about it. If you click this link, this is this product we were talking about in the video. You don't actually have to buy that product, but anything you buy in the next 48 hours, I get a small piece of 1 to 2%. We all know Amazon's evil. We all know that you're all using Amazon. So please click my link prior to that and take a little money out of Amazon's pocket and give it to somebody that you actually care about. And I don't know, we make a couple grand a month on it probably.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had any kind of real success at that, but I'm not really pushing it either. It's something that's just kind of there. And if people decide they want to, check it out, then cool. But I haven't been really that aggressive about it. It's like I say,
affiliate links.
Affiliate links. Yeah, I'm affiliate with a few different, Harvest Right and EMP Shield and stuff like that.
Yeah, we got those.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Are you running a Harvest Right?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the new XL?
No.
Have they shipped any of them yet? It's supposed to be twice the size of the large.
Really?
Yeah.
You're all over it, huh?
I haven't. Man, I have a hard time.
What are they charging for it?
Not much more. It's just they haven't shipped any of them. Like I heard that, hey, here's this save $1,000 on it, and I haven't seen anybody start putting photos. And then I was always of the belief that if you had a problem with your Harvest Right, it was a you problem, not a Harvest Right problem. And then Bob's like, hey, buddy, I bought 3 of these and none of them are working right now. So I'm kind of waiting for dudes to get them and be like, hey, this is awesome. Or, hey, there's an issue with these.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any real issues with ours. I know that they have had a little bit of issues. Some of the folks that I know, they had a little problem as far as the repair of them.
Yeah.
They had some, issues, and then the customer support seemed a little weak.
I think they just overwhelmed, man. I think they when things went crazy and everybody in the world, I mean, shit, I was even doing videos of them and I didn't even have one, a year before that. So I think people like, this is a good deal. This is something I should probably have. And then maybe they had to source parts or someplace or whatever,
Right.
Out of Utah, I guess.
Yeah.
But they are the only game in town. Like my Harvest Right, perfect, awesome, man.
Yeah, you got 2 of them, right?
No, we have 1 of them.
Okay, I thought you had 2.
We got 1.
Yeah, I hadn't been aware.
So what's next for you?
In what sense?
Anything. What's on your head? Like, what are you going to go home and do, or what do you want to do, or what have you not done that you want to do? It doesn't have to be farm.
Right. Well, it's mostly at this point. It's kind of I got some things I'm trying to do at the house, and one of those is I'm working on a water project. I'm trying to get that secondary water project solidified. But I also want to work on my solar, because that's kind of a big thing, man. It just makes you realize how vulnerable you are when they can shut your power off, and then all of a sudden you got no power. Yeah, we got generators and gasoline and stuff like that, but when the sun is making power all the time, we should be harnessing that and trying to do something to give us another ability to continue our way of life in a normal fashion without being disrupted.
Do you want your solar system to be like, we don't know, we're off the grid?
Mm-mm.
Or do you want to adapt your life to fit the solar system?
No, we want, I already have a solar system. It's grid tied, and we have enough panels to, produce enough energy, but they're run through those string inverters right now. And I just want to get some hybrid inverters installed and get the appropriate amount of batteries and all of that sort of thing. And then that way we can just start managing our own electricity from that standpoint.
Yeah.
So yeah, we still have to be on the grid. We still have to have a meter in California.
By law.
Yeah, you can't we don't want a meter. You got to have that smart meter.
Yeah.
And it's just one thing, that energy is a big thing. And I think it's not something we think enough about, because it's just so readily available just to flip a switch.
Oh, I say it all the time.
Yeah.
There'll never be any pushback against tyranny as long as you have bread and circuses. Like these people, they've never turned the light powered on and it not come on unless they didn't pay the bill. And in California, I don't think they even turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they turn it off on us quite a bit, just because of all the lawsuits they've had with regard to the wildfires that have occurred.
Oh, okay. So brownouts.
Oh yeah. So anytime the wind blows above a certain, and the humidity is down, we get red flag alerts. And then, PG&E decides, well, we're going to preemptively do a power safety shutoff, and it's got its own acronym, right? They just shut everybody's fucking power off in these areas, and then we're without power. And that's kind of a problem, especially for people with wells that might need to defend their property, right? If their power doesn't work, how are they going to fight the fire? I mean, we've got a generator and a transfer switch that powers our well, so we're good there. But it's just one of those things that
I feel like that's always in the areas where in the more rural areas where people are more freedom minded, because that shit's not happening where they're voting the other way, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting time we're in for sure, man.
So what's the water project look like?
I already tapped into the water and got that established. It's just basically a kind of a seep that I developed, and I lined this trench with impervious fabric, and then laid in drain pipe, perforated drain pipe, covered it with a bunch of drain rock, and then now it's enclosed and it's running into a PVC outlet, and I just need to run the PVC all the way down to where I'm going to put my storage tank.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually, when I equated it, or when I did the calculations last year, it would have given me 27,000 gallons a year.
Wow.
Yeah, 27,000 gallons a year, because it was 77 gallons a day.
It's kind of like just coming from a spring somewhere.
It's just coming up somewhere close to the surface of the ground, and I've always looked at that piece of ground and said, there's something underneath there, because it's been green the entire time we've lived there, even though everything is brown.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I just kind of decided after I got back from Self-Reliance, I was motivated to go and make that happen. So I just need to kind of close the loop on that. I mean, ideally, if I were to be able to pump it up to a location, uphill, and then gravity feed it back. However, I've only got 41 feet of elevation change, which is only going to give me 17 3/4 pounds of head, which isn't worth the effort of doing that, because I'd still have to pump it.
Right.
If I had if I had 100 feet of elevation, I could have 43 PSI, and that would be marginally hey, this is pretty cool, right at the lower end of your pressure that you'd want. But,
right.
If I had 150 feet, I'd be golden. Pump it up and then just boom, plumb it right back in. That would be the ideal. But I'm going to have to get it over there, and it's going to gravity feed to my tank, which is going to be a 3,000 gallon tank. And then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do from there. Do I treat it? Do I get it into my system, or do I do something else? But it's just a secondary source.
Where will you get the tank from?
I wish I knew of a better source. The only place I know right now, I'm probably going to look on Craigslist or look around or whatever, but they're so expensive right now at Home Depot. They're $1 a gallon right now, and that's way overpriced.
Yeah, the black ones. I see 25s. Tankdepot.com.
Okay.
check them out. I've seen them get with homesteaders and sponsor projects.
Oh,
So I would reach out to them,
Tank
man.
Depot, man. I need to write that shit
And they have a
down.
lot of options, right? And the thing with the tank, right? 1,000, 15 up to 5,000 gallons. It's the same footprint.
True.
So you might as well run a little higher, a little taller.
Yeah.
And they've got different colors. Like you can get sand color to match your terrain. You can get green. They've got black. They typically take longer to get. But the black ones and the clear ones or the opaque, they typically have those. And I know guys don't like the opaque because they're supposed to grow algae, but I don't see any algae in that tank there. And we're always, it's just water catchment off the roof.
That's the one up top. Yeah.
That's a 15. We actually buried it partially.
Okay.
So it runs in and then overflows. It overfills into the pond. We trenched the line in there. But yeah, I would at least reach out. I've seen them sponsor video. I see guys like, hey, this video is sponsored by Tank Depot. And they gave me the quick flush and the tank. And
Yeah, I should look into that. That'd be definitely something worth doing if,
even if they give you a little love.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even if it's just a better deal.
Yeah.
Because Home Depot's charging a lot of money. Who knows what shipping would
They're
be?
probably
or whatever.
coming from Tank Depot.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you for sitting down.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having this event, man. It's cool. I think it went well, and there's a lot of people here that I got an opportunity to chat with today, which was super cool.
What would you change or add?
To what, the event? Yeah. We were talking actually about this a little bit last night, and having more vendors specific to the speakers.
Somebody else just said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It might have been Spags because
It was Spags.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were talking about this last night, having more vendors that were specific to the speakers.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah. And that might be something of benefit.
So what would have been better to be specific to you, for instance?
No, I got everything out of this that I wanted. It wasn't for me necessarily. I just think for the standpoint of the average person coming here that's coming to Self-Reliance Festival, I got what I came here to get, and that is relationships and meeting people.
Right. Could you give me an example, though?
Of what?
Vendors more relevant to the speakers.
Let's see. Yeah, so just for an example, and I'm not even saying
Sure.
this is just one example, but so for Paul Wheaton was here. Paul talks a lot about rocket mass heaters. Having a vendor here with something like that set up.
I thought
right?
that's what the biochar guy, when I walked up, I'm like, is this a rocket mass heater?
Yeah, just stuff like that so people could actually see it practically.
Yeah.
Same with the biochar. I've been making biochar for going on my second year now. I've made over 80 batches in my homemade retort. And I was interested to see what Bruce had over there, Bruce DeVries. He had that system. But it appeared to me, and in talking to him, he hadn't yet really used it. So it's more of a prototype. And it's a very, very interesting concept. And I'd be interested in trying to replicate that and seeing for myself, hey, is this like something better than what I'm doing?
Or faster.
Yeah. Well, the thing that would be nice, actually, is the volume of material that you can get in there. I'm using a 30 gallon tank, or 30 gallon drum inside of a 55 gallon drum. And then what I'm left with is much less than the 30 gallons that I started with.
Yep.
But if you had a bigger starting point and that was your vessel where you did your pyrolysis, then it would be better.
I'd always thought of biochar as fertilizer.
It kind of is because, well, not really, but kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it withholds and retains the nutrients. So it's a sponge for that. And it, in some sense, is, but it's just a long-lasting carbonaceous material that you're basically converting something that would ordinarily just eventually wind up in the atmosphere. There's a portion of it you're sequestering, and it's winding up potentially for thousands of years in the soil. And I just think that's super fucking cool.
I'm glad I asked you because I was going to sprinkle on top of those raised beds out there.
I mean, you can. I mean, it's just, I don't think that it's going to be the best unless you do something to fill up that sponge.
Yep.
So put it in a bucket and start, pissing on it or doing something to inoculate it. And once it's fully charged, then, you can, but it needs to be crushed and all those sort of things.
Well, I do save all my own pee. All right, man. Well, thank you.
Right on, John.
And we will see you again soon.
I hope too, man.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about realest, one of the realest to try. My family, SOE,